Hey guys, and welcome to Functional Print Friday, and welcome back to my shop. I got a new toy. And if you haven't figured it out yet, what makes this bike a little bit special and why it has all of these extra controls on it is because this is an e-bike. And I'm really enjoying it so far, aside from one thing, and that is the grips on this bike. You would think looking at these grips with this wide surface area on here that they would be more comfortable, but at least for my hands, that's just not how it works out. I have fatigue in my hands within a couple minutes of riding this bike, and I have tried rotating them to different positions. It doesn't matter. I just do not like this style of grip. I'm sure many people consider this to be like a more premium grip than just a regular grip, but call me old school. I just want regular grips on this bike. And I'm thinking that this is going to be a great opportunity to try a larger print with that TPU Air that we used last week for the little feet on the laptop stand. Let's try making a whole grip. So I guess we should start by making sure these grips do actually come off. I'm assuming that these are like a standard bicycle grip. So there's a plug here in the end. And normally you can just kind of rotate these guys off. I know they turn because I have tried turning them to other positions. I think that's coming off. All right, well that ended up being a lot harder to get off than I anticipated, but it does look like it is a standard bar and a standard grip. It has like a rubber lining in it, probably to make it a lot harder for it to rotate on the bar than a regular grip, since you have much more leverage with this, this sort of surface that sticks out here. So, all right, let me get some measurements of this. All right, looks like it is about 132 millimeters long and about 22.2 millimeters in width. I'm sure someone down in the comments will let us know if that is standard. All right, I think we can keep the design for these grips pretty simple. I think the only real engineering challenges we're gonna have are balancing durability with the firmness of the grip. We don't want the grip to be so soft that when we squeeze it, we're feeling the bar through the grip. We also don't want it to be rock hard. Like if we printed these in regular TPU 95A, my guess is they're gonna be too stiff. Although, we could try it. Certainly that would be incredibly durable. And that is my fear with printing these with a softer material. I have seen bikes with just regular like soft foam grips and they're always torn. They never hold up. So whatever we come up with, I want it to be a lot better than this, but I also don't want to be replacing them every season either because they're torn. So, all right, I'm gonna take those measurements, I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna start doing some design work, and I'll bring you guys back. All right, and here is the initial design that I came up with for these grips. And the inside diameter on this matches the outside diameter exactly of the bar on the bike. I didn't leave any clearance because I figured these should be able to flex over the bar, and we do want it to be a nice tight fit. I added 5 millimeters in overall thickness, and then I just kind of divided up the height of it here with these different segments. We have these flat spots on the top, and then it drops into a 45-degree V, so this should print no issues without supports. I'm really not sure about the design. Like I don't know how this is gonna feel in my hand. So I think the first thing that I'm gonna do before I try and print this in the TPU Air is just print this in plain old PLA and just kind of see how the size feels and how the grip itself feels. So let's print this in PLA and I'll bring you guys back. All right, our PLA test print is done. Came out nice and clean. And this feels right to me. This feels like about the right OD for a grip. I don't know if there's like a way to properly measure your grip size, but like that feels good to me. One thing I did notice, it's marking up my hand, even just testing it. Like I'm not squeezing that hard. So we might need to make an adjustment to the design, or it might be fine when we do it in TPU. I'm not sure. So I think I'm gonna print two of these. I'm gonna print one in TPU 95A, and I'm gonna print one in the TPU Air, and let's just see how it goes. All right, guys, both of our TPU test prints are done, and they are night and day different. If you couldn't guess, this is the TPU 95A. This is the TPU Air. The TPU Air I printed in the softest durometer setting, which is the highest temperature, lowest flow rate. And TPU 95A, well, it's TPU 95A. And this is printed with only one outside wall. And now it's not on the handlebar, so I can squeeze it. Like it definitely does have give, but that give is mostly deforming the whole thing. Like if I grip it like this, where I'm gripping around it, I honestly can't feel a difference between this and our PLA test print. Now, I'm sure it's incredibly durable. Like this would probably outlive the bike, but it's not gonna make a good grip. The TPU Air one, like I said, I printed this in the lowest durometer, this is really nice. And it's super clean on the outside. However, yeah, that's not gonna work. Now this is using the default settings in the profile from Tech. I think what's going on here is I think it's returning to the same spot for the seam. I bet you if we make this nearest, this is either a lot better or goes away entirely. I'm not even gonna try and use this. I can't think of a good way to clean that out. I guess maybe if I made like a plug that was the same size on the lathe and sharpened to the end and we pushed it through, it would probably cut all those off. But otherwise that's gonna be a real pain to clean up. So I'm actually gonna go print this again, but I'm gonna print it with seam set to nearest. Let's see how it goes. All right, I'm back, and look at the difference of this. I did zero cleanup on this part. I just popped it right off the bed. And I know this is hard to see because this is black filament and it's a matte finish, but that is 100% perfectly clean inside. And again, the only change was just setting the seam to nearest. This material is great, but it does not like travel moves. So you've got to minimize that in your design. Because it foams when it warms up, like you can't really stop it from extruding. But again, zero cleanup on this part, and it's perfect. All right, I also printed an analog for our bar. This is just PLA, so we can just kind of test these on the bench. Yeah, that actually feels nice. A nice amount of give to it, although I can feel those, yeah. I think we're gonna have to adjust the design. Even though this is actually pretty soft and very, very grippy, I think I overdid it with that, I don't know what you want to call that, corrugation or ridges on this. I think it's a good idea. I think I just have way too many. Like I really wanted there to be enough grip on this that as you're going over bumps and turning with the bar that your hands don't slide this way, but yeah, I've overdone it. There's way more grip than we need there. So I think I'm gonna go work on a revision for this that sort of keeps the same idea, but makes the flat tops of these wider, and maybe we don't go as deep with these grooves. I think I'd also like a little bit longer of a flat area at the end of one side for when these are actually installed on the bike. So I'm gonna work on that. I'll bring you guys back. And here's that updated design. I ended up actually doing the longer flat section on both ends of the grip, and I added a bevel up here on the end that is going to be at the end of the bar. So I'm going to go ahead and print this out. Let's see how it looks. All right, it's the next day. Our next print is done, and already I'm liking this way better. I think we probably need to go a little bigger with the bevel on the end. You can honestly hardly notice it, but I do like the longer flat sections on either end. And this already has a much better feel to it, and it's not making a mess of my hand. Let's print another one of these. Let's just push this in. Oh yeah, that's nice. All right, I think we're there from the perspective of the grip. That has a really nice feel to it. I'm gonna stay with the softest setting on the TPU. If you're squeezing it like just with your thumb and forefinger, it kind of almost feels like it has too much give. But then when you squeeze the whole thing with your hand and that force is spread out more on a wider surface area, it actually feels like just right. I had another thought though, laying in bed last night while this was printing. I thought, you know, this stuff, one of the selling points of this material is that you can actually change the durometer of it by changing the flow rate and the temperature. And my fear from a durability perspective is that the end of these is going to get torn up. And let's actually try and destroy this one. See how durable it is. You know, it's actually tougher than I expected it to be. Like this is really soft like a foam, but it doesn't tear as easily as a foam. Yeah, I can start to tear into a bit. So I think if I was to set the bike down and this was up against something sharp, this would get damaged. What if we change the durometer of the end of this grip? So I want to make the bevel a little bit bigger. But what if at this last ridge here, we change the temperature and the flow rate so that we end up with a harder material on the end? Let's try it. All right, our print is done. I'm really liking the wider bevel on the end, but honestly, I can hardly see a difference in the filament. Now I went from, so this is, the bottom part's printed at the softest setting for this material. The top is at the middle of the range from a temperature and flow rate. And it is, yeah, I guess it is stiffer. And I notice I can actually see the layer lines more pronounced in it at the top as well. There are some minor defects in here. I actually watched this one finish printing this morning. And what's going on is this is stuck to the bed down like this. And by the time it gets up to the top of the print, the nozzle is just ever so slightly moving this guy around. And that's why it's not perfect up top. It's not so bad that I'm going to worry about it. I was thinking we could probably print a shorter one of these, pause the print, say, when it's 2/3 of the way done, and then press one of these that's, you know, the same height as where we paused the print in from the top, and then we wouldn't have that flexibility. It'd be limited to just how much it could move around in that last 1/3. But I think that's okay. I'm not going to worry about those little bits of imperfection. I do want to print another one of these though, because I think we can do better than that. Like, this is noticeably stiffer, I guess you'd call it, than the rest of this. Like, I can easily catch my thumbnail down here. Up here, really, I mean, I still kind of can. I wonder if I can, see if I can pull this apart. I mean, not as easily as the other end. Like this end, I can definitely deform that material to the point where it is torn. This side is tougher, but I think we can do better. I'm going to go to the max of the range. I'm going to print this at the coolest temperature that they recommend with the highest flow rate to get much more durable end. Let me try that, I'll bring you back. All right, guys, I think we're there. Take a look at this. You can now see a really stark difference between the part down here and the part up here where we changed the filament settings. And this is, like, this feels like TPU 95A up here now. I don't think it's actually 95A. I want to say maybe it was 90 in the highest durometer that you can print this stuff. But it is night and day. Like down here between my thumb and forefinger, like I can crush that almost flat. And up here, that is, yeah, I can hardly deform that at all. So I think the end of this is going to be a lot more durable now than our original design. I did notice we did also pick up a lot more surface imperfections with the stiffer durometer. I'm not 100% sure, but I think what's going on is when you print this at a softer setting, there's almost no friction transferred or no force transferred from the nozzle to the part when it's printing, because the material is printed at an incredibly low flow rate. It's less than 60%, if I recall. So the material foams as it exits the nozzle and then forms, you know, the deposited layer. So there's not that much force transferred from the nozzle to the part as it's going around. As we get up here to a harder durometer, the flow rate's much higher and the material is a lot stiffer, and I think it's just transferring more of that force from the nozzle moving around to the part. Again, it's not so bad that I'm going to worry about it. We could probably even print it in this orientation instead. I was printing it this way because we have more surface area for this guy to stick. If we print this side, because we've now beveled this, we'd have much lower surface area for that to contact. And I guess we could print the center solid and then just trim it out, but we still have less overall width with the bevel there. I'm probably overthinking it. I'm going to print another one of these, and let's see if they work. All right, our second print is done. Unfortunately, this one does have a bit of an imperfection. You see that there? That is hard. Whatever that is, it is not TPU air. It's probably PLA, might be PETG. I'm trying to remember what I printed with on this machine last. And this is the 6th one of these that I've made now in total with all of our tests. So whatever that is, that hung out on the nozzle through all those prints and decided to come out at that moment. So that's why they recommend doing a cold pull, which of course I didn't do. Comment below, do you do a cold pull on your machines when switching filament every time? I mean, I guess I should to avoid stuff like this, but I'll probably just reprint this one later. But for now, let's try putting these on the bike. Definitely a nice fit on there, nice and tight. All right, well, I think these look great on here, and they feel really good too. I mean, definitely a matter of opinion, but I think these are a significant upgrade over those stock grips. So let's test them, and I want to test this e-bike too. So everybody's use case for an e-bike is going to be a little bit different. I know a lot of folks will pick these up as like a primary mode of transportation in a city or a suburb. My use case is a bit different. I live out in the country. I just enjoy riding for leisure. I've always ridden bikes. In fact, when I was a kid, I rode so far on my bike that by today's standards, if I was going to take a car, I'd probably make a coffee for the trip. We've got a bunch of great bike trails right here by our house. In fact, the closest trail entrance is only about 2 miles away. Unfortunately, there's no place to park there, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the problem is there is about a 250-foot elevation change from my house here to the entrance to the bike trail. Now there's a parking lot that's about 5 miles away. So what I usually do is, this is not my only bike, I have like a nice Trek mountain bike as well. I'll load that bike up on my pickup, go park at the lot, and then ride on the nice flat trail that's also in the shade for most parts of it. And then when I'm done, put the bike back in the truck and come back to the house. The problem is, even though that doesn't sound that involved, it's oftentimes just a bridge too far when I have, an hour or two that I would just like to get some exercise. And I don't want to think about, having to load everything into the truck, load the bike up, drive the 5 miles, get out, then I have to get back in the truck all sweaty. Like, I know, first world problems, but point is, I genuinely don't ride as much as I would like to because of that. So full disclosure, Himiway did reach out to the channel and offered to send this out for free if I showed it to you guys here on the channel. And initially, I ignored their email. I get tons of these offers. I mean, what do we want to call this? A mildly successful YouTube channel? And on some days, I get up to 24 emails offering to send stuff out for free if I'll show it on the channel. And I ignore 99.99% of it because I'm not interested in it. It doesn't add any capability to the shop that I don't already have, and I'm pretty sure you guys aren't interested in it either. So just be careful out there, guys. Himiway has been great to deal with. Unfortunately, that's not the case with every company that I have tried to work with. There is, well, I don't want to mention their name because I did sign an NDA before they sent me the contract for the video, but there is a company who makes machines. It's not a 3D printer. It's not a laser. I don't want to say anything more because I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but they make a machine that I was very interested in. It would have added a capability here to the shop that we don't presently have. And they sent me the contract, and I did a double take when I got it. They wanted a video produced and released within 1 week. They wanted like a dozen bullet points covered verbatim. And third, and this is the big one, you couldn't say anything negative about their product. That contract, right in the garbage. Not the case with these guys and not the case with any of the other things that you've seen on this channel that were, well, I don't want to say sponsored because I've never taken any money from a company to show you guys something. I have certainly accepted stuff for free to check it out. As long as I have the creative freedom to make the video however I want and to be honest with you guys about what I think of it. Which gets me back to how I want to test this bike because the bike's either going to do this or it's not. It's going to take my opinion out of the equation. I want to ride this bike down to that trail. I know it's going to do that. That's all downhill. I'm going to ride it on the trail for a while, and then I'm going to try and let the bike essentially ride me back up here to the house. I'm not even going to pedal. I'm just going to treat it as the cool down on the ride. Instead of sitting all hot and sweaty in my truck driving back here, just going to sit on the bike. Oh, I guess I should probably mention, not all e-bikes are created the same. This one has what's called pedal assist modes, and it's like infinitely adjustable. When I first got it, I thought it was just limited to like 3 or 4 different settings, and then I realized there's actually like a menu you can go into and set the number of options that you can pick on the screen, anywhere from I think 1 to 10, and then you can adjust the percentage power level of each one of those 10 steps to wherever you want it. So it's pretty much infinitely adjustable. But in addition to that, it's actually just got a throttle on it. So I don't even need to be pedaling. I can just push down on this thumb throttle and the bike goes. So that's my plan. I want to see if this bike is actually going to ride me all the way back up here from the trail without me even pedaling. Oh, there is one more thing I want to do. There's 2 mounting screws here for a water bottle cage, but it doesn't come with one. So I'm printing one of those right now on the H2D out of PETG HF. I didn't design it, I just grabbed one on Maker World, but let me go see if that's done and we'll get that on here. All right, here's the helmet I usually ride with, but I can't think of a quick, easy way to mount a camera to this guy. And I was thinking about it, and I actually have a GoPro mount for my motorcycle helmet. In fact, we designed this mount for this helmet back on the channel a while ago. I'll link to this video down in the description. So yeah, I'm probably gonna get some weird looks on the bike trail, but I think I'm gonna wear the motorcycle helmet. So let's do it. Just heading out of my driveway here, and then we were right onto this long hill. And this is pretty steep. See, I'm doing a little over 32 miles per hour there. I'm not pedaling, I'm not on the throttle, I am just rolling down this hill. It's about 1.8 miles to the bike trail. So I'll skip ahead here to getting on the bike trail. And the trail itself is nice and flat. It runs along a river for quite a ways. I think this is a rail trail, so it used to be an old railroad bed and then was converted to a nice running and walking and biking trail. And it happened to be a national holiday here in the US when I was out shooting this, so there was a whole bunch of people out on the trail. And needless to say, I got some pretty funny looks from people wearing a motorcycle helmet on the trail. I'm just checking how ridiculous I look, and yep, Rich, that's how ridiculous you look riding your bicycle with your motorcycle helmet on. So it's a couple nice places to stop on this trail and just kind of check stuff out. The river that this trail goes next to is super high with all the rain we've gotten. It is not usually brown like this and not usually anywhere near that high. So it was kind of interesting to just come out here and get a look at the river. All right, let's skip to getting off the bike trail and the ride back to the house, because this is the real test here. If the bike does this, I'm happy, and I will spend a lot more time down here actually riding on this trail rather than thinking about how I'd like to be riding on the trail. And I am not going to pedal from this point forward. Even here, I am just using the throttle to take me up that hill. It did get down pretty slow, about 7-8 miles per hour. It's a steep hill. And I'm just going to get on the road here, and I'm going to hold that throttle all the way down. We'll see how fast this thing goes. Kind of felt bad for this guy. He actually pedaled by pretty quick, and then I just went zooming right past him, not even pedaling, just holding the throttle down on this bike. It gets up to, I think, just over 28 miles per hour. Out of the box, it does a little bit slower. You got to go into the menu and like let it know that you want to go to the full top speed. So I'm gonna skip ahead here because most of this is not that steep. It's not till you get to about like here. And you can see I'm trying to keep the speedometer in view to see how slow it gets down to. And it did, like, you know, I'd say 18 to 25, actually up most of this. Until we get to the very top of this hill. Like, yeah, even there it's doing, like on 15. It started to slow down here, but as we get to the top of this hill, it's super, super steep. And again, I refused to pedal. All I did was just hold the throttle down, and it kept getting slower and slower, and I thought I might have to pedal. But I got all the way down to a little under 10 miles per hour here, but it never quit. It just kept going. And this is the slowest I could get it to go on some other steeper hills that I kind of tried out before I did this real test ride. So I don't know how steep of a hill it will go up at that speed, but I could not get this thing to drop below about 8.5 miles per hour, which, I mean, I'm calling this a success. I'm happy. A cool side note here, I keep this in my barn, which means I can actually charge this off the solar panels in the barn. So I'm not even paying for the electricity to charge this bike up. So I guess that makes it kind of free transportation. So you see me just plugging it in here. The battery is actually removable on this, but you don't have to remove it to charge it. You can just pull this plug out and plug it in. And there's a key lock up there at the top of the battery too. So like if you took it somewhere and you wanted to take the battery out so you're covered, somebody can't steal it, you can do that. So yeah, here we are charging it up on solar. So is this the right e-bike for you? I don't know, I can't answer that. I mean, everyone's situation is a little bit different. I can say for me, it does the job I needed it to do, which is essentially riding me back up to the house after I ride, and I was able to tune the pedal assist torque level. I got it like in a sweet spot where it feels like you're not even riding an e-bike. That is one of the downsides of an e-bike in general. If you have pedal assist completely off, it's not like riding a regular bike. There is some sort of drag on the driveline from the e-bike components that makes it actually a little bit harder to pedal if you don't have pedal assist on at all. The out-of-the-box settings, I found even the lowest setting was a little bit too much assist for me. I tuned it so that the lowest setting on mine feels like just riding a bike, just a plain old regular bike. So, you know, I'll use the throttle to get down to the trail. And then when I'm on the trail, I'm probably just going to always ride it in that mode 1 where I've got it tuned to feel like it's not even an e-bike. Because at the end of the day, I still want to get exercise. I enjoy riding on the trail. I just dread, you know, that actual ride back up if I have to ride up that hill, or going out to the further parking lot and doing the whole load and unload out of the truck and all that. I guess that's one other potential downside of these bikes. As great as they are, it is going to be heavier than a regular bike because it's got a motor, speed controller, you know, the throttle controller, and the battery on there. So if you're buying this thinking that it's going to be the only bike you ever own, and you're often putting a bike like on and off the back of your car, know that it is heavier, so it is going to be harder to lift on and off the car. I think it's a better fit for somebody that lives close to trails that they can ride to. That to me is where this bike and other bikes like this one really shine. The range on this is listed as 80 miles. I'm going to say that's probably optimistic. That said, I don't think I've ever gotten the battery below about 80% on this thing, but I'm sure that that 80 miles was, you know, in the best case scenario. But even if it's half of that, 40 miles, like, that's pretty impressive for a bike that honestly doesn't look that different than a regular bike, but offers you so much more. This bike also came with a headlight and a front fender. I didn't put the headlight on because I don't plan on riding it after dark, and I'm not a fan of front fenders on bikes, but they do include that in the package, so if you want to put that on, you can. So I will leave a link down in the description of this video if you want to check out the bike further, and I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And this is all we do here on this channel. It's all functional print. So if you enjoy more of that functional and engineering side of 3D printing, rather than just, you know, whatever the new multicolored garbage of the week is, check out some of the other videos on the channel. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. And guys, if you do, I'll see you next Friday.